Hey everyone, we're going to do another video on restrictions in Desmos. Now, this is just a second example to kind of reinforce the first example that I did. So this time I'm going to graph two equations. I'm going to graph y equals 2x plus 2. Okay, then I'm going to graph another equation, y equals minus x. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to restrict both of these lines. Okay, so for the red line, I'm going to restrict it. I want it so that I only graph it for positive x. Okay, so I want to graph this for positive x. So I want it to start right here at 0 and then just keep going on and on to the right. Okay, so I don't want this red line to be graphed over negative x. So I'm going to go right next to the expression, right next to the equation. I'm going to add a set of curly braces. Okay, so if you watched the last video, you know that when we want to add a restriction, our restriction is going to be an inequality that's enclosed by curly braces. Okay, so I want it to be just for x positive, so I'll do x greater than 0. Okay, and so now you can see that the red line is only graphed over positive x. Now, let's look at this other blue line right here. Excuse me. Okay, now, let's say if I want to restrict this blue line, okay, but I want to give it a different restriction. Let's say if I want it graphed only for x less than or equal to minus 2, okay? So he's going to have a different restriction. All right, now, since he gets his own restriction, we have to put that restriction in the same line right here, right next to him. So I'll type in another set of curly braces. Now, since I want him to only be graphed only for x smaller than minus 2, I have to use a less than inequality. So I say x less than minus 2. Okay, and so now you can see that if we want to restrict two equations in different ways, each one has to have its own restriction. Okay, now with the restriction, now how does that work exactly? Well, it works with the way inequality works. For the inequality, what this says here is that only when x is positive, bigger than 0, graph the line. So over here, like if you pick minus 2, if you try to plug in minus 2 into this inequality right here, you know that minus 2 is not bigger than 0, so it would fail it. Okay, so it's a rule that the equation has to follow, that it's only going to be graphed when x is bigger than 0. And the same thing over here for this inequality. When you plug in like x equals 3, x at 3 is not less than minus 2, and so it would be a false statement. So then this guy would not be graphed. So it's only graphed when the x coordinate is smaller than minus 2. Okay, and really the important thing here is that since each one gets their own restriction, okay, you have to put the restriction right next to the equation. Okay, and you notice that they're not in separate lines. Okay, so they're not like over here in expression 3. Okay, they go with the equation that they restrict.